Hey everybody, this is HD. Welcome back, and it's time for another daily HD ladder. It's currently Wednesday, and I think a couple of days ago I casted some pro games. So today I thought I'd go ahead and get back to doing some more daily HD ladders. And I do have another game I want to cast, which is a game of Hydra, which will be coming up shortly after this game. Now it is going to be a Terran ladder game today. And I know a lot of you guys have been saying, I do a lot of Zerg games, why not do more of the Terrans and Protoss? And so yeah, I wanted to go ahead and do another Terran game. And this game, it is going to be on Lost Temple. My strategy here, not going to be any kind of a late game strategy. Rather, I wanted to go ahead and try something that I saw TLO do in a Terran versus Terran. And so this is going to be a Terran versus Terran game. And the strategy that I saw TLO do was a Thor drop. He went ahead and just went for fast 1-1-1 strategy, one barracks, one factory, one starport. He got the Thor out as early as possible, and then he got the dropship, and then he just dropped the Thor off into the enemy Terran base. And it can actually be a pretty viable strategy, especially if you have close rush distances by air. So I guess I started this game off, it was a Terran versus Terran. Obviously I'm not the best at other mirror matchups besides ZVZ. And I was kind of hoping, hopefully my opponent has spawned at the 12 o'clock, because I don't care where he spawns, I don't care what happens this game, I'm going to go for the Thor drop. And yeah, I'm just going to cross my fingers and hope it works. So as you guys can see, I am going to be building my barracks supply depot in my base. When you play Terran versus Terran, it's not necessary to wall in. In fact, it's smarter not to wall in, because when you do put your buildings at the ramp, you actually put them at risk of being attacked by siege tanks and other random various units. And it's just better in general to just build your buildings inside your base, because you're not really at risk of having a bunch of Marines run into your base. And even if Marines do run in, it doesn't really make a difference if you wall up anyways, because they have a ranged attack, unlike Zerglings. So this game I am going to be opening up fast gas, just standard gas, and I am going to be getting my factory down with my first 100 gas, and then I'm going to go ahead and actually I am going to get my second refinery before the factory, because of course to go for this Thor drop you need a lot of gas. You need to have enough gas to get your armory, you need enough gas to get your Thor, and then you need enough gas to get the starport and the dropship. So you do want to make sure you get that second refinery before the second factory, and it's all just build up at this point. Do note I am also getting a tech lab on my barracks, and this is just playing it safe and standard. You want to get one marauder out just in case your opponent attacks you with a marauder, or maybe even a Hellion. And of course I am going to do the good old scoot and shoot micro with my Marine. And unfortunately, that SCV actually just barely, it's going to come back and I'm going to be able to get it. So I am going to go ahead and get one Marauder out, get a couple of Marines, and what I usually do when I do some kind of an early one barracks, one factory, one starport, since you're so vulnerable in the early game, you want to get a bunker down at the front door, just in case your opponent does rush you with some kind of early attack of forces. So you do want to get one bunker, and you get a small ground army, and you just kind of stuff it inside the bunker and just hope and pray that your opponent doesn't bum rush you with a bunch of units. So far as you guys can see, I do have a bunch of gas saved up right now. I have all maximum saturation in both of my refineries, and I am going to get my armory down as soon as the factory is completed. And because my tech lab has already been done on the barracks, you can easily do a quick swap off. You can put the factory onto the barracks and easily make use of your buildings. You don't need to build an extra tech lab or anything like that. Now, lo and behold, it looks like my opponent did indeed spawn at the 12 o'clock location. So he is going to be in the prime spot for me to do a Thor drop strategy. I'm just going to go ahead and drop it right in the corner of the base where my opponent will not expect it. And obviously when you go for a Thor drop, you do want to bring up as many SCVs as you can, so you can set them on auto repair, you can repair the Thor, and of course you want to bring over as much of your ground forces as you can just to support that Thor. So it all really does come down to micro. It is kind of an all-in strategy, but even if it doesn't work, even if your Thor drop fails, as long as you can save the Thor and bring it back, you still can recover and you still can expand and play towards a mid to late game. So it's not exactly all-in where, you shove with absolutely everything you have. It's more of a kind of a semi-bluff, and you try to win the game with the Thor, but it's not absolutely necessary. So as you guys can see, I do have my Thor on the way. I have my dropship on the way from the starport. I did do the little cute barracks factory tech switch so that the factory now has a tech lab, and I really don't need to build any other add-ons. I guess it might be nice to have a reactor on the starport so you can get 2 dropships out, but it's not actually necessary. So as you guys can see, I am going to go ahead and load up the Thor. Thor is ready to go, gonna drop it off in the corner of my opponent's base, and this, of course, like I said, the perfect spawn for this kind of a strategy. And other maps, such as, I would say Blistering Sands is a good map to do this on. Any map where it's a nice wide open main, it's 2 base, or if it's 4 base and you're right next to your opponent, it's a good strategy to use this kind of a Thor drop. So as you guys can see, second dropship on the way, gonna go ahead and load up some of my SCVs, and I've got all of my infantry ready to go. It looks like I've supply blocked my second Thor, so that's a little bit of a mishap right there. But this is going to be the strategy, gonna load down everything into the backside of my opponent's base, set all my SCVs on auto repair. Remember, all you have to do is click all of them and then right click the auto repair button, and then you send your army in and go to work and try to take out your opponent. So as you guys can see, it looks like my opponent was going for Banshees with Cloak, and you guys can see that little swirly thing in the tech lab, so you automatically want to focus that down first. You don't want to have to deal with Cloak Banshees when you only have 1 command center, 1 orbital command for scan. So here we go, it looks like my opponent pulling all of his SCVs, pulling everything to fight against me, and he's getting his SCVs to all surround my Thor. So when you're in this kind of situation, all you have to do is do the quick load up of the Thor with the dropship. It's very simple micro, and you pick up your Thor and you just drop it away from the SCVs. So now my SCVs have the proximity to get on repair, and that little small micro maneuver is what is going to be able to win me this battle, and in fact actually win me the game. So my opponent leaves after being Thor dropped, and note the most important factor in the Thor drop right there is remembering to use your dropship, picking up your Thor if it gets surrounded, and just repositioning it somewhere that's more favorable. So that's a quick little TVT strategy. It actually works in TVZ as well, if you really get fancy with the Thor. And so yeah, my opponent was 2,500 in Diamond, High Diamond. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this broadcast, a quick daily ladder game, and I'm going to go ahead and cast an Hydra game that I just downloaded. So stay tuned for that. HD, signing out.